Hey there friends, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to pop in here and say that today's video is Have You Touched Minds with Someone You Love Part 2. This is a follow-up to the first part of this story, written by WeirdBryceGuy, who also wrote Doxology, which is another story I narrated on my channel and was very well received. So this is the second part of the Have You Touched Minds series, and yeah, I'm just going to let the story do the talking, so enjoy. I have never been to Massachusetts. I can't tell you much about it, beyond that Tristan lived there, in a town whose name I cannot seem to remember, and his father was a professor at a university. Its name also escapes me. After an incident where a young and inquisitive Tristan stumbled upon a weird book his father had taken from the university's library, the family immediately moved away. Those are the headlines of my friend's story. With that being said, it at least sheds light on something regarding the trapped man. After I spilled the pizza rolls and Tristan went to pick them up, I knelt down and placed my hand on his shoulder while helping him retrieve the food. In this small contact, I closed my eyes and tried to send a message to the man, intimating that I could hear him and asked him who he was. I only touched Tristan for a moment, but it was sufficient enough contact because, in response, I heard, "I am Arthur Dumont. The boy you call Tristan, he's not what you think. He has stolen my body, controls its operations. I am its original inhabitant. Tristan is something inhuman, conjured by that damned book. I read from its infernal text as a child, invoked something that I could not comprehend, and it took over, initially banishing me from my corporeal form. As a specter, I was able to hijack the body of a man in the university's library. After hours of debate and all manner of verification, I managed to convince my father of my real identity. Tristan, oblivious to all that was being said, ate the recovered pizza rolls and kept his attention on his phone. I had moved away to sit on my bed, but could still hear the being named Arthur, even though I had ended the physical contact with Tristan. To my great luck, I was granted the vocabulary and some of the intelligence of the body that I had wrongfully taken. Tristan hadn't the faintest idea of who I was, and until my parents and I could figure out how to return me to my body, I posed as a friend of the family, meant to be Tristan's counselor of sorts. It was on the first day of moving here that I decided to abandon the vessel that I had inhabited, and plunged myself into Tristan's, my mind. You see, while I possessed that body, I hadn't FS'd the mind. The body's rightful owner screamed in terror constantly, and when he realized his body had been taken thousands of miles away from his home, he began to resist my occupation. Seeing as how I couldn't vocally answer him, I again tried to transmit my thoughts, hoping that Tristan wouldn't be able to consciously hear or somehow intercept them. My efforts worked, and Arthur responded to my questions. He, the body's original owner, began wreaking a kind of psychotic havoc. I don't know how to describe it. Technically, I'm still at the same age as you, just with the few adult characteristics of language granted to me by him. But anyway, whatever was going on was extremely disturbing and painful in a way that I can't really express. I've forgotten what it's like to feel anything physically, so I abandoned the vessel and with a sort of psychic aim, propelled myself into Tristan's body. And ever since then, I've shared occupancy of my own body with the demon that is Tristan. He doesn't know I'm here, and until you awoke me, I had forgotten about my own existence. I started to tremble, although I kept myself from a full-blown panic so as to not arouse the attention of Tristan. Either I was going insane, having some sort of unprecedented schizophrenic episode, or I was having a conversation with the real Tristan. That is, the real mind behind the body a few feet away from me. Silently, telepathically, I asked further questions. So, you've been sleeping this entire time? For how long after you entered Tristan's body? Arthur didn't respond for a few moments, and I feared that the connection had been severed somehow, or he had been suppressed by Tristan. But eventually he responded, even exhaling a telepathic sigh. since a few hours after I re-entered my body, all those years ago, I don't know the spiritual mechanics of all this, but the action of body jumping, or whatever you would like to call it, it was extremely draining. I felt even more insubstantial than I already was, and just kind of subsisted in the conscious background, watching Tristan interact with my parents, who had come to some hastily thought answer as to why his uncle had suddenly collapsed. I think because I was so weak, Tristan never took notice of me. He still hasn't for whatever reason. I can't hear what he's thinking, so I think it's safe to say he's never really been aware of me. I tried to calmly digest all this information, but I must have looked at least somewhat troubled because Tristan turned to me and said, "Hey man, are you alright?" I quickly responded that I was fine. My stomach was just being weird after eating the pizza rolls. I thought this would be enough to satisfy him, but then he got up and said, "You want some water or something? I'll take the plates downstairs." I didn't want him to go too far away, in fear of losing contact with Arthur. So I reassured him that I was fine and that he can leave the plates in my room, I'll just clean them up later, when he eventually left. He relented, although he eyed me warily, as would any friend, any human friend, and I found a renewed sense of disbelief towards Arthur's story, if such a being even existed beyond my mind's imagination. Tristan asked what I'd like to do, and I suggested that we watch something on Netflix. He logged in under my account, asked what I would like to watch, and I told him a show that I thought he'd like. That way, he could stay focused on something other than me, while I continued my conversation with the intracranial phantom that called itself Arthur. So that, my friends, was part 2 to the Have You Touched Minds series. Unfortunately, this one did leave out on a cliffhanger, and in looking at Bryce's account, I have not seen a part 3. Bryce, if I'm wrong on that, please tell me. I would love to narrate the third part if there is one. I would love to continue the series if that's possible. Alright everyone, if you liked the video and liked the story, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell to let me know you want more content like this. On top of that, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, let me know how you're doing, and let me know if you think Bryce should write a part 3. Down in the description, you'll find links to this story, as well as links to my Twitter, subreddit, Facebook, and a page where you can submit a story to me if you have one you would like me to read. All that said, friends, I hope you have a fantastic day and a fantastic week, and I hope to see you on the next video, but until then, sleep well.